enemy is bringing something up. Or let's even go, oh goodness, this is a whole different path. Let's not go there. Let's not go there. When we've been through something that we can't forget, that the enemy would like to torture you with, or even your own bad habit, negative processing thoughts, like to hammer on you, you've got to go back to the place of the pivotal point that is tormenting you by your own admission or the enemy tormenting us. And you begin to ask, Lord, because the enemy likes to make you question, was God even there when you were going through it? Right? So, I don't know, I wasn't meaning necessarily to keep focusing paired. He wouldn't allow you to go through that. Where was God when this was going on? These are some common whispers of the lies of an enemy that wants you to remember a moment that is completely twisted and a lie. See, truth is, he's never going to leave us and he's never going to forsake. Flames will not set you ablaze. That's truth, okay? What the lie likes to twist is that God isn't there as your shield, your protector. And it may have been bad, and it could have been wrong, and something that was completely that you were a victim of. But we got to be at a place that regardless of what we've been through or what we've done, that we can't allow ourselves to become a victim to it. And the way that we do it is obviously Hebrews tells us that he was able to endure the cross and despising the shame, but he can somehow do it with strength. How could he do it? With joy. He said because of what was set before him. Watch as he's able to look through it. And it allows him not to be the victim of an execution, but he becomes the victor of the enemy's plans. So he is the one that is bringing victory instead of having a victim. And if you've been through something that you have good enough to satisfy your conscience that becomes a tormenting place, I must remember the truth that he was with me in this moment. Because if he wasn't, I would have lost my mind by now. If he wasn't, it could have been a lot worse. Maybe it wasn't an answer to my prayer, but he brought me through it. I went through the waters and they did not overtake me. This is truth. And if you ever think you got through it by yourself or on your own, I've got something to tell you. You got a twisted lie wrapped up in there. On your own, you would not be here today. But because, as Paul said, it's not just this one thing that I've apprehended. He's apprehended me. He grabbed me, pulled me up when I had no strength to do it by myself. And I'm standing here today, not in my own strength, not because I'm good enough to deliver myself, but because I serve the one who still delivers, who is still the same yesterday, today, and forever. And the truth is, I take this place that the enemy is trying to torment me, and I remember. Now, when you go back to remembering is actually also another form of putting things back together. And when you go through something in your past that tries to shatter your dreams or break the plans that you had in your life, to dismember means to break apart. But to remember with truth, it brings things back together. So now I am remembering not the lie that's trying to torment, but here's what you have to do. And then I'm not saying it's going to take the first try. And if it's not so convinced, I do believe that even though he went through that, he in some way had a way to stay in the place of God. That if we go through this journey and we're able, not because Paul says there's that pressing towards, going to move forward isn't always easy. But if I keep myself in the place of God, and I don't know when and I don't know how, and it may not be on my timetable, but God will turn it around for good. Somehow, some way. What you meant for evil or for bad, God can mean it for good. If we keep our heart right, and so when When I hear often the steps of a righteous man are ordered by the Lord, there are steps that we must take, okay? But not even like there's step to the right, take 3 steps, now turn left, now take 2 steps. But if I am going to go through on this journey of my life, I have to make sure my steps are in order. I'm not saying this is a God-ordained step, that's something that I'm getting ready to go through, but if I'm going through it, I better step right anyways. Does that make sense? That if I acknowledge him in all my ways, he will direct my paths. So if I get an attack by the enemy, not by God, God can use the enemy, but God isn't making it happen in my life, I just make sure that my steps are the way that God wants me to walk. That I take my step in love and forgiveness. I take my step at a place that I can walk in humility. I take my step at a place that I keep moving forward regardless of the press. That I'm going to take my steps that are ordered by God. As the worship team comes, in this place of us moving forward into what the future that he has for you and me, the best way to forget is to remember. It's the best way to forget is to remember of the one who's been with us every step of the way, and he's still with us right now. And he's the one that's got the door open saying, right here with me. Everybody standing.